Alright, so boom. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. Either way, you're much appreciated. As I'm making this right now, I'm sitting at 99 subs. About to hit the big 100. I'm sure by the time I edit this and upload this, I would have hit it by now. So I just want to say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you everyone that subbed. 100 may not sound like a lot, but 100 people saw a video, shows the sub, shows the support. So it just means a lot to me, and I want to say thank you. As you see by the title, the most notorious German muscle car, unless I change the title, but the W204 C63. That's what we're going over in today's video. We're going to be going over the generation and going over each year and any specific changes that were made throughout the years and different trims this car came with. We'll go over the capabilities it has to build power and also some of the competitors of the time. Let's get started. This is a very special car to me. It's one of my favorite or top 3 favorite cars of all time, like top 2. It's in the 1 spot, but the 2nd spot is pretty close. So it's like my favorite car of all time, I'm not gonna lie. The reason I say this is because I had a W204 myself. I had a C300. That was my first car, and that was a car that got me into cars in the first place. So I love me some 204. And tortas.
Couple tortas in there, I'm a torta pounder. I'm about to get busy.
So the W204. The W204 debuted in 2007 at some auto show, this one right here, and lasted all the way until halfway of 2015. I'll get into the 2015 part in a second. So releasing in 2008, prototypes of this car were seen as early as 2005, tested on tracks such as the Nürburgring. For a car being designed in very early 2000s, this car aged like fine wine. The pre-facelift, yes, it looks older, but for being designed in 2005, well really 2004, it's a beautiful car. In my opinion, one of the best looking Mercs they've ever made. Originally, the W204 only came in 2 body styles, the sedan and the wagon being a Euro exclusive. It wasn't until 2012 when they had the facelift where they introduced the new coupe styling. One of the reasons why this car is so notorious and so popular is because of the engine, the M156 6.2 liter V8 engine. That's the biggest misconception about this car, is that it has a 6.3, but the C63 name comes from an older Benz from back in the day that had the M100 engine that actually had 6.3 liters of displacement. So yes, the badge on the side does say 6.3, but it's really a 6.2. But again, the name just comes from the old engine back in the day, them paying homage to it. But the M156 was also the first engine AMG built from the ground up. All the previous engines, AMG took up already made Mercedes engine and tuned it. So in 2008, base spec C63s, those produced 451 horsepower and 443 pound-feet of torque. They were coupled with a 7-speed automatic 7G-tronic transmission, sending all the power to the rear wheels. For a time, this was actually the most powerful NA V8 on the market. And in my opinion, it's one of the best sounding V8s ever made, especially coming from Germany. To me, there's no German V8 that comes close to the sound of this thing. It's just one of a kind. There's actually a time I was in Montreal with some of the homies, and we're walking by a main street, and I hear a car go by. I'm like, that's a C63. I turn around, red 204, C63. I'm like, damn. You know, my ears know what they're hearing. But yeah, so the first performance package this car came with was the P30 package. This car came with a higher top speed, bigger brakes, 390 millimeters compared to the regular 360. And this car also came with stiffer suspension, carbon fiber spoiler, and Alcantara wrapped steering wheel on the sides. It also came standard with a limited slip differential. The focus of this package was to increase the sportiness, the handling, and the braking power of this car. Disclaimer though, I've seen some sources talk about it did have upgraded performance, such as upgraded internals, but more sources said it didn't, so that's what I'm going to go with. So if that's wrong, I'm telling you right now, you know, my bad. But like I said, this package was only available in 2008 and 2009, and it was also only available in Europe, and it did not make its way to the US market. So after they discontinued the P30 package, they introduced the new P31. And this was the first package that offered more power than the standard C63s. So saying that, the more power, these came with 481, but the torque stayed the same. The way they increased the power was just from an ECU remap. But the biggest thing this car came with was new forged internals. such as pistons, rods, and crankshafts from the SLS AMG. So saying that it came from the SLS of this generation came with the M159, which is basically the race-oriented version of the M156. So it was the M156 on crack, basically. So it now got those internals, which were forged. It came with new sport suspension because the previous P30 suspension got too many complaints from customers that it was too stiff. So they stopped the production of that suspension as a whole and introduced a new sportier one. The limited slip differential now came as an option. It came with the same 390mm brakes and the same raised top speed of 280 km per hour, 174 miles. It came with the same carbon fiber goodies such as the trunk spoiler, and also in 2010 they changed the style of the mirror caps, and then those became carbon fiber as well. So it was really a step up from the P30 package, which is supposed to be. So saying it came out in 2010, you are able to get a pre-facelift car with the P31 package, and it was also now available worldwide, not just in Europe, which is one of the biggest things. So from 2010 to 2011, there was no changes. It wasn't until 2012 where the big changes really came in. The facelift. One of the biggest changes that came to every C63 with the facelift was a new transmission. It came with a new MCT 7-speed wet clutch transmission, replacing just the 7-speed G-tronic transmission. The power stayed the same between both of them, but aesthetically, the facelifts got new headlights and taillights, new styled front and rear bumpers, slightly, a revised interior, got a new style fog lights as well. For the non-AMGs, it wasn't until 2011 where the fog lights changed, but the style of the AMG bumper stayed the same throughout the whole facelift. I'll show examples. So the first special edition of C63 to come out in 2012 was the Black Series. And this was made to be the most track-focused, race-oriented C-Class. Like I said earlier about the body styles, this is when the Coupe came out, and the Black Series only came out in Coupe design. So the Black Series had the same forged internals as the P31, but bumped up the power all the way to 510 horsepower and 457 pound-feet of torque. It came with the same 7-speed transmission, and in the US market, came with rear seats and regular AMG front seats, but in other markets, had no rear seats and race-style seats. Some of the noticeable differences were it had aggressive track aero, new styled front bumper, amazing looking bumper. Also came with nostril vented hoods, which also look amazing. Had wider stance, flared fenders, and lightweight 19-inch wheels. It also came with adjustable coilover suspension, but it also came with an upgraded and standard limited slip differential. And only around 800 were made worldwide, making it the rarest 204 model. Besides any like special editions, like general release models. That's a sneaker term. If you know, you know. But again, like I said earlier, this was only made in 2012 and didn't go past any years beyond that. So after the Black Series came out, 2013 was just a regular year. You were still able to get standard C63s and P31 C63s, but that's it. It wasn't until 2014 where they released the new 507 edition C63s. The 507 was made to be the last hoorah of the C63 W204 and was the peak trim besides the Black Series. And it was available in all body styles, wagon, coupe, and sedan. So like the name states, it comes with 507 horsepower, but it had the same 451 pound-feet of torque compared to the P31 and standard C63s. So these shared all the same internals from the SLS and the P31, but just with Black Series tuning, but a little bit less power than the Black Series because I just assume they can't let it have the same amount of power as the Black Series. It had the same top speed of 280 kilometers, but actually had smaller front brakes than the P31s and had 360mm composite brakes and had red painted AMG lettering on the brakes. They also shared the same vented aluminum hood from the Black Series. And instead of having carbon fiber goodies, it was just gloss black accents on the grille, mirrors, and trunk spoiler. And these also came with specific lightweight 19-inch wheels. These were also produced in a very limited number, so besides the Black Series, the rarest 204 trim. So with all those trims out the way and the difference powers in just the trims itself, we're talking about making power on your own with these. And disclaimer, it is not cheap if you want to build big power. But big power never is cheap unless you're like a Honda or something, but this is a Benz, bro, come on. So due to it being NA, like a lot of newer engines and newer Mercedes engines and newer AMG engines after this one, just flashing it won't do that much. They'll get maybe 20-30 horsepower compared to like the M157, where just a tune alone will get you like damn near 90 to 100 horsepower. If you want to get decent power out of this, you got to do upgrades such as headers, exhaust, paired with a tune, any fueling upgrades, upgraded cams if you want, potentially intake systems. So doing all that stuff will get you around 500-ish, mid 500 horsepower, which is good power, don't get me wrong. Most people on the road probably can't handle a 500 horsepower rear wheel drive car. I mean, me personally, probably light work. But if you want to get big power out of this car, such as 700-800 wheel, you're gonna have to go the supercharger route. There's quite a few companies that make superchargers for this car, such as Kleeman, WiseTech, Rentec, and I want to say the average price for a supercharger kit for this car is between 12 to 15,000. That's just for the kit alone, without installation or any other supporting mods. So like I said, that should put you in between 600, 700, 800 wheel horsepower. I don't know, that's a broad range, but I've seen examples in all those ranges of horsepower. What the differences were between each one, I don't know. It was just a video or a post that I saw. But the highest horsepower one that I saw was on a Facebook group, and I believe it was either 804 or 840 wheel, which is a lot of damn horsepower. Turboing this car isn't ideal. I've seen one video of a twin turbocharged C63, and it was just it in a trailer. It wasn't actually it running. Space in the engine compartment plays a big part in that too. It just makes more sense to supercharge it. I'll see if I can find the video if it's still up. It was done by Eurocharged. So I know a lot of these Audi boys be talking about their S4s or S5s, talking about this is a German Hellcat, No, it's not, bruh. It's a supercharged V6. That ain't close to a German Hellcat. Supercharging a C63, in my opinion, is the closest you'll ever get to like a German Hellcat. Rear-wheel drive, big power, 6.2 liter as well, supercharged. Sounds like a Hellcat to me. But now let's talk about the beans, you know? Any issues this car came with. In the pre-facelift model, the biggest issue this car had was weak head bolts, and how basically they would just snap. This issue was revised halfway through 2011. Most cars, I'll say, we should have them done by now. It's a very well-known issue. Like for example, if you're looking at a C63 for sale, a pre-facelift, most of the time it'll say head bolt done or specify something about it. Once you get them fixed, it's an issue of the past, and you're chilling after that. But other issues this car came with was excessive cam wear at higher mileages, such as 150,000 kilometers and around 100,000 miles. Camshaft adjusters showing early wear. Those are the main issues. If you want a more in-depth video about this engine, I'll tag one down below from AMGMiester. He makes great videos about AMGs, and he can provide a more in-depth look. But coming out in 2008 until 2014, some of the competitors of this car was the E90 M3 from BMW and the B8 and B8.5 RS4s and RS5. So to quickly go over the BMW, the E90 came out in 2008 and went all the way to 2013. These cars also came with a naturally aspirated V8, the C63 4-liter V8, producing 414 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. And these came with either a 6-speed manual or 7-speed DCT transmission. So I'm not gonna lie, 4-liter compared to 6.2, AMG has more power, sounds better, looks better. I'm not biased, I'm just spitting facts. They are still a beautiful car. I definitely appreciate them, but in my opinion, Mercedes clears this. So moving on to the RS4 and RS5, like the other two, these also came with a naturally aspirated V8. These came with a 4.2-liter V8, producing 450 horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque. So again, Mercedes is clearing in the power department, and sound department, and looks department. But these were the only vehicle in the class to come with all-wheel drive. And they also came with a 7-speed. So these are all 7-speed V8 sedans or coupes. So again, in my opinion, Mercedes is clearing these two. They're both here. In my opinion, the C63 is up here. There's no replacement for displacement. 4 liters all the way to a 6 liter. Come on. AMG, again, I'm just biased. Those two are still beautiful cars, but again, in my opinion, the Mercedes just looks better, sounds better. I don't know about driving better. I know that's the main factor. I haven't driven any of these cars, but yeah. So overall, these cars are gonna go down as a piece of history in the Mercedes lineup. Mercedes is never gonna make a big V8 engine like this ever again. Their latest C63 had a 2-liter turbo, which is just a disgrace. And why I believe they're changing it now. But no car is ever gonna come out with this big of an engine ever again, just due to newer emission laws and regulations. So it's impossible for a car like this to ever come out again. I'm hoping to get my hands on one of these. I said this in the last AMG video, but you know, I want me a few AMGs. But this car specifically, like I said, it's one of, if not my most favorite car of all time, and I will be geeking once I get one. Don't sleep, don't sleep. Yeah. But overall, besides some of the main issues that I stated earlier, they are a pretty reliable engine. Not as reliable as the M113K, the previous top-of-the-line AMG, but they are not a terrible engine. Don't get me wrong. If regular maintenance is kept up, it'll take care of you too. Oh, and fuel efficient on this car is terrible, but it's a 6.2 liter V8. You're not expecting good gas mileage out of it. That's gonna be it for today's video. So if you enjoyed the video, made it to the end, thank you. Again, if you enjoyed, drop a like, drop a comment of shit, whatever. Any criticisms you have, anything you want me to talk about, anything like that. Sub if you're new. It's Friday for me, so have a good Friday, have a good weekend, whatever day you're watching this on. Have a good that day. Thank you.